Hello and welcome back to the Four Elements Press YouTube channel. Today we have a local author, Patrick Johns, with us, and he's also organizing the LBI Book Festival at the Whittingham Coffee House this Friday, the 28th of August. And we're going to talk a little bit about the event and we'll get to know him as an author and poet. Welcome to the channel, Patrick. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. Thanks for the nice introduction. Excited to be here.
Good. Yeah, we're excited to have you. And we're excited to also be, attending the event on Friday. I know there's going to be 10 different authors there. So it's going to be a packed house.
Oh, yeah.
Um, if you'd like to talk a little bit about the event, let people know some details. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty wild because we just pretty much planned this like 2 weeks ago, and now it's just like blown up into this whole thing of details and 10 authors and whatnot. But I think it all started when I connected with Megan and Alex at Whittingham Coffee House, my one of my favorite coffee places on the island in Long Beach Island, New Jersey, for those who don't know. And it's a great place to go socialize, talk to the owners, talk to people there, but also to like go plop down and do some work. It has a really nice space. But this summer, they did a really good job this summer with promoting us really like small businesses, pop-ups and whatnot. So they pushed me to sell my books at their coffee shop. So I like did that once every week or two, and it was great. It was kind of like my first live events in a really long time because I have this thing where I just don't like doing outside events anymore because especially in the summertime, Long Beach Island area, I'm sure you know, you just have no idea what the weather's going to be. And every live event I did outside was just downpouring rain or crazy wind. You're just fighting for your life, trying to hold your tent down. So this is nice doing like a live event inside. And I was doing that all throughout the summer, having a great time with it, connecting with people, networking, meeting readers, meeting just random people on the island. And I also started meeting a lot of local authors. I kind of think that's how you and I connected. We actually connected at the Toms River Book Show back in early June. And that was actually, sorry, so I take that back. That was my first event in a long time. And it was outdoors. I was having PTSD of like, oh no, what's going to happen? But it was a beautiful night and we connected. So I was like, oh, nice, a local author. Who would have thought? Like, I feel like I haven't met really many in New Jersey. So this was exciting. So throughout the summer Whittingham, we started connecting with local authors and they saw me doing it. I was like one of the only authors doing it at the time. They had other pop ups selling jewelry and clothing and other things and whatnot. So towards the end of the summer, we were like, hey, we have this little list of local authors. They're starting to come in and do their pop ups and sell their books. And we always had on the back of our mind, like, what about a book festival? So, summer was coming to an end and it always catches up on you. So we're like, hey guys, we got 2 weeks left. Should we just do it? The book festival? We kind of have a list of authors. I think we had like, I don't know, maybe like three or four. I think I had a list of like five at the time. But like three definites in the list of five of like, okay, I need to reach out, see what happens. So Megan and Alex at Whittingham were like, let's go for it. So that's when I reached out to you and a few others, and I said, "Hey, let's start this book festival." And we have no idea what the traffic's going to be and whatnot, but let's make this an event for bringing local authors together and to connect and network and to meet each other and yeah, build something together. So that's kind of how it started. And then we started marketing it, spreading the word, and we discovered there's a lot more local authors on the island than I had ever imagined. Unfortunately, there's a limited space at the Whittingham Coffee House, so we had to kind of cap it at 10. But it just blew my mind how within like a week we got 10 authors to fill the coffee house. Everyone's super excited. People are talking about it. The Sandpaper, a local newspaper on the island, is writing an article about it. It's supposed to be published today, so excited about that. And yeah, so it's super cool. It's cool to see like the people want this and are craving it. So a little bit about the event. I think we got the details in place now. We're gonna show up and pretty much just sell our books all day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Whittingham Coffee House. And you'll be able to walk in, grab a coffee, go around, meet all the authors, look at their books, chat with them, or just browse. And then from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're going to do author talks and Q&As, where the author, I'll introduce the author. They'll be able to come up, share a little bit about them. They can read an excerpt from their book or whatnot, or just their time to have a spotlight, share a little bit about them, maybe their writing journey, their connection to Long Beach Island, because it's cool finding local authors in such a little community, which has blown my mind. And that's pretty much all the details of the events. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's awesome. And part of the magic of like putting something together like that is like also like finding other authors that you might not have known about before, from the author angle, and then also as readers. Like so many readers are going to be coming Friday and discovering like writers who they didn't know existed, honestly. And it's cool because I noticed some also have books set in LBI. Like one author has like a Beach Haven series.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, my book like also partially set in LBI, the first
Yep,
one.
yep, yep.
Um, and it's interesting how we don't kind of have more of a network of like knowing each other, and it'd be pretty cool to see what the event can turn into, maybe next year or even the year after, like as other groups, maybe like the library kind of gets involved, or
Oh yeah,
if
yeah.
we outgrow this space. Um, but it
We'll move to
also
the we'll
speaks
move to the
to,
streets.
yeah, right, book festival on the street. Um, it speaks to the power of like small businesses, like our friends at the Whittingham Coffee House, because they have such an opportunity and such a like love for the craft and creators that it can really build community around just that message and that kind of philosophy of, bringing people together, uplifting small businesses and, different creators. And I think that is a lesson to like a lot of other people watching can kind of take into their own communities, like, especially at the author level, like get involved with different places.
Oh
Coffee
yeah, yep.
houses are a great place, because usually the best people are there.
Of course.
Yeah, and to, even if your town doesn't have something like this, to set it up, because you don't know what the turnout could be. You could be like, it could be the catalyst for something great. And even if the turnout isn't great year one, like you get to network with people who you might get to stay connected with all year long. And um, you also do the poetry
I was,
workshop and
I was just
poetry
thinking
reading
that.
at the Whittingham Coffee House. So, that was also kind of like a incubation period for something like this.
That's why it feels like. So yeah, with the poetry with Pat, I kind of left that out because I don't want to make the story too long. But we started the summer. I've always, as an author, now I'm a book coach and editor and whatnot, and help other writers revise and publish their own books. So I always know, like deep down, like I need to start doing more live events and more workshops and just getting out there, because the online world gets a little bit lonely, and it's really important to make like a face to face connection in real life. It's more powerful. So the Whittingham Coffee House, they reached out to me, and they're the ones that pushed, like, hey Pat, like we want a writing workshop, we want an open mic, we're buying a microphone, we're providing you the space, we want you to do it, so let's go. And I'm like, whew, what is this summer turning into? I just started this running club, life is getting crazy. I just started this new book marketing job, life was getting more crazy. Um, Things were happening. Now this Poetry with Pat event that we set up, so it was a writing workshop for an hour where writers come, and for 1 hour we talk about your goals and just have a space, again, like kind of like what we're doing with the book festival, a space for writers to come and connect and meet other writers like them in the area. which yeah, because writing's lonely, and sometimes you think you're a weirdo for doing this thing because you don't really connect with anyone else doing it, and then you figure out other people are just like you, and you're like, wow, all right, I'm not so weird after all. Other people are doing it. Pretty cool. So the space where they came and we wrote in silence for like 20, 30 minutes, and we would usually get like a writing prompt, write for we would write poetry in our journals, outlining. Then that would turn into an open mic, and we do the open mic session for an hour, and you could read whatever you want, play some music. So it was fun, but the turnout was interesting. We promoted hard. It was hard to get writers to come, which I totally understand because I was like that. It takes a lot of guts to come by yourself to be vulnerable at a writing workshop plus open mic. That's like, it's not easy. So I totally get why it was hard. Plus, it's like a beach town where people want to go out and have fun. So it's hard to promote it. But that being said, even the small groups we did have, it was still fun. I learned a lot from it. I got to connect with other writers. It was good practice to like go behind a microphone and use it as practice time. Oh, there's not a big crowd here. Okay, it's more relaxing. Even if there is a small crowd, you're still going to get nervous. So it's good to practice and get beyond those nerves for that when you do more live events in the future, you have that, in the background now, and you practiced. So yeah, so it definitely, I guess going back to what you said about, going out there and starting your own thing. And yeah, it's scary. Like, what if no one ever shows up? Every single poetry with Pat, I was so scared. Like, who the heck is going to show up? Megan and Alex are opening this coffee shop for me for this event, and I need to do them justice. I'm like, who's going to walk in that door? Maybe no one. You would walk in. I'm like, oh, thank you. Then 20, 30 minutes late, someone else will walk in. I'm like, oh, thank you. And it's just it's good to get yourself out there and build something, and sometimes it's going to take a while and spread the word and whatnot. But it's always a good thing. It's never like a negative thing putting yourself out there like that. um yeah.
Yeah. And even if you just get the chance to write for a little bit,
It's a
it's
win.
it's worth it. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so that's why we were doing this book festival event, and we're like, okay, our expectations are poetry with Pat level. And then it just like blew up. And I'm like, whoa, okay, it's very interesting how the difference between the two events, how yeah, just very interesting. So yeah, hey, and maybe some good advice, like, hey, if this isn't really working, maybe change and shift it, because in a way it's still a similar event, bringing writers together to network and connect. Same thing with Poetry with Pat. That was the overall goal. So just shifting in a way, and now it's resonating more with people. Um, so something, you start with something, and you adapt and grow and build and shift, and yeah, but you got to start, and you got to figure out as you go, pretty much. And
Yeah.
one other thing I want to say about what you were talking about, like getting yourself out there with other events in the area. Silent reading clubs are blowing up, at least here in New Jersey. And I don't know if I told you this yet, but the silent reading club I go in North Jersey, they have like 160 people that show up to this thing, which is wild. And it's such a great way to, it's so easy. You take your book, whatever you're reading, you go to a silent reading club event, you read for, sorry, you socialize for 30 minutes, and you can ask your neighbor, hey, what are you reading? What are you reading? And you just talk, or you don't have to. You read for an hour in silence, which is awesome. And then 30 minutes of socializing after. But they reached out to me recently and said, hey, we have this newsletter that we're going to start this fall. We want to support our local authors and put you there in October as a spotlight. I'm like, wow, this is so cool that all this is happening. So yeah, there's so many cool ways that are popping up to get yourself out there.
Yeah. That's really cool. One of the things I really liked too about the poetry with Pat was that um, writers of all different experience levels would come, and it we got a lot of good questions from like people who write a little bit but like maybe don't see themselves as writers. and like they were interested to learn too. And then writers who wrote a lot maybe in the past, but don't really write anymore and kind of wanted to reconnect with their writing again. Um, it was nice how that kind of like gave them the space and like the um encouragement to kind of like dive back in a little bit, because it's like it's like a muscle, like you kind of have to use it, and sometimes you need to get forced to use it a little bit.
Oh yeah, yep.
um so it was nice to kind of see that it was more personal for people in different ways and at their different growth levels. um and that could be something that other writers can kind of take away too, like you don't have to have a published book to kind of go to these writing events. Like you could be a journal writer and like you want to go write with other people, hear some different like poetry or hear some different prose, and then if you want to share. If you don't,
You don't
save it
need
for
to.
another time.
I think that was the coolest thing for me about that was everything you said, and also like seeing these people come with their journals, all different shapes and sizes and decorations, and they opened them and just seeing everyone had a different style. They put different things in them. Some had artwork, some had photos, some just had writing, some had really neat handwriting, and just I don't know, it connecting because like I journal and I don't really meet too many people who do that. So it's kind of nice connecting with others who actually take some time to write down their thoughts. So it's nice.
Yeah, especially like in suburban areas kind of where, or like touristy areas too, where the local population might be kind of small or just disconnected. um to kind of like bring people together and like say, oh, like this is a space for this type of person. And then to see everyone kind of bring their journal and like, you're not as different, or as, yeah, as different, I guess, as you
Yeah.
might think. Like
Oh,
other people, there are like-minded people out there. So
oh yeah.
yeah, I thank you for doing poetry with Pat and also
Oh,
organizing
thank
this
you.
event. Um, and it's funny too because it was planned as like a small maybe like author panel in the beginning,
Yeah.
but like having seen it kind of like adapt to something a little bit bigger, um, shows like, yeah, another angle of like, you really don't know what you're gonna get, or based on your first expectations.
And like what the community is gonna react to and whatnot. Um, and I think it really did shock me this summer because yeah, again, like I grew up in Bergen County, the top right in New Jersey, and it's very populated up there. Up there, so my image of down here is like, oh, it's a little more desolate, a little more quiet, not many young people down there. But this summer has blown my mind with all these events popping up down here, like an artsy scene, and seeing. I think we started this run club in the beginning of the summer, and kind of relates to all the events we're talking about. It was four of us, four guys. We planned all fall, all winter, and spring, and we literally thought like it could just be us running this summer. Like who's gonna come? Like we would be happy if one person, random person, shows up to this event. We posted our first run in April. Wow, like it blew up. And ever since then, like it has blown up, grown beyond what any of us have thought. It's like a like athletic empire now on the island. We do yoga, high rocks, paddleboard, basketball tournaments, running, sprinting, races. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff, but I think we were all very shocked on the local community. Like we would be nothing without them. So seeing how strong the local community is and how far that can take you and beyond what you ever imagined. We only thought we were gonna have like one little runner running with us this summer. That was our goal, and now we have like on average like 15 people showing up every week, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. And before we go too, I did want to talk a little bit about you as a writer and poet, because you do have a few books and a few poetry collections out. Um, so how did you kind of become a writer, and was that always something that you kind of aspired to be, like from a young age, or did that kind of come later in life?
Wow, you're asking a deep question here. Let's see if I can give you a short answer. It was always boiling down within for sure. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to tell this story. I think I'm going to start with it took, I'm sure you can relate to this. After college, I started working for an engineering company outside the DC area, and it just wasn't, we'll leave it at, it wasn't where my heart belonged. I knew that. I could feel it. Something was off, and it gave me a lot of time to think. A lot of thinking time. And it wasn't a one night answer. So during this phase of thinking, let's call it my quarter life crisis, I did a lot of thinking. I was doing yoga at the time to, just like get to practice like mindfulness and whatnot because I was just in a wild place of like, what do I want to do with my life? What's the next step? I don't want to do this. So if not this, then what? And that's like one thing I like telling people a lot, like, hey, if this is not what you want to do, if not this, then what? It's a very, very hard question to answer. What do you like? It's very difficult because then there's that block. Well, I like this, but how do I make money off of it? So, with all this thinking, I started connecting all the puzzle pieces back in my childhood. We used to write, I don't know if you ever did this, but they gave us like white books, white hardcover books, and we would have to fill them in and create our own stories and color the cover art and inside, also color the scenes and write a book. And once we were done, we'd give them to our classmates. Everyone would write reviews and whatnot. And I think I did. I think I have 3 or 4 of them that we did throughout like first grade to fourth grade. I still have them, and this was like one of the best, the most fun I had in school, designing my own story, getting really creative. I think one of them was about like a mix of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and the Chronicles of Narnia. I think this like creature went to this door, entered this mysterious world, had lightsabers in it, and then that was the story in school I wrote, but then at home, I would expand on it on pieces of paper, handwritten. I think I had like 30 pages of story that I wrote, expanding into like Lord of the Rings type of story with this book I started in fourth grade. So that happened. And then that led to songwriting in middle school, high school. I started playing guitar and I had a lot of teen angst that led to writing a lot of words down on paper and trying to write some songs. And I would perform them live with my friends. And everyone kind of gave that up in college. I was alone by myself with my guitar, going through a breakup, feeling extra angsty. So I wanted to write words and write songs. I wanted to perform them. Well, in order to perform, I had to learn how to sing. So I would go up to open mics and embarrass myself like crazy. So it comes back to poetry with Pat. Like I know how it is to embarrass yourself. My voice was awful, but like I just needed to do it. So I would go up and practice and get better and better and more confident over time. And that definitely helped me for performing live in the future, where like I feel comfortable in front of a microphone now and have like stage presence. That's another story. So then in college, I was doing engineering and math. And I think it was my senior year or like my second to last year where I just had this urge to take a creative writing class. And I did not need it at all to graduate. I just took it for fun. And we wrote a short story. I wrote like a Stephen King, like really dark short story, which was wild. And we wrote some poems. And that really sparked that side of things of like writing as an adult, um, being creative, seeing what I could do with my creativity. I graduated, started working the job, all this thinking, core life crisis. I started putting all these pieces together. It was not an easy decision. And I was like, I want to write a book. So I started writing a short story. And it had so many plot holes, and I would spend my commutes just thinking about these plot holes, driving myself crazy. I like Lost type stories. If you know the show Lost, where it's just like so many threads and you're like so much craziness, but then you don't know how to connect it at the end, like Lost is famous for. That's what was happening with this. I'm like, I don't know how to connect any of this. So I kind of dropped it. Then December of 2015, I think it was, I was going through a breakup, another one. Core life crisis happened. I went to go see Aladdin on Broadway with my family, and I always loved like classic 90s Disney movies. Aladdin was always my favorite, and I saw Aladdin on Broadway, and it just like it sparked everything. I cried, I felt shivers, so I went back to the DC area, and this is a whole nother story, so I'll save it for another time. But I got inspired. I sat down, wrote a little tiny outline, and just dove right into it. And that's kind of how it expanded everything that I do now. So I always base it back to Aladdin. And I think I wrote the first book, Junkland, the first book in the Hoarding series, based off of the song. I'm pretty sure it was playing in the background the entire time. Is it A Whole New World? And that one line that goes, "I can't go back to where I used to be." That's like the theme of how the book started and whatnot. Um, yeah, so I'll stop there. That was a lot.
Yeah, that's a great story on becoming a writer. Um, how now, because I know Junkland is part of a series. Um, how did you go from like, you know, writing it to like deciding it's a series and then publishing it too?
Great question. Yeah, so here's Junkland, the first book. This is the newer cover. So when I was writing this back in 2017, so yeah, I started writing it. It was kind of my outlet to escape what was going on in my life during that time. And it was literally only going to be like 30 pages. It was a little tiny outline. I did not imagine it being more than 30. So I was aiming for 30 pages at most. And then my manager ended up hiring someone from my college, Virginia Tech, a year later. And we met up one day for lunch. And he goes, "I'm writing a fantasy book." I'm like, "That's so weird. I'm writing a fantasy story." And for a year and a half, we met up for lunch. And he was, in a way, like my first book coach, where he just opened my world to publishing options, marketing, the business side of writing, and actually like being serious about it. So then those 30 pages turned into 70, turned into 100, 200, 300. Now I think it's like around 425 pages, more or less. So it's going to be a standalone. And I was working with my friend at this time. We were pushing each other forward, and he was explaining the marketing world business side of like, yeah, series is writing a series is good, how to sell the book, how to get your fans and know your market and whatnot. So I think we were actually together. We were tubing down the Harpers Ferry River, and I was just by myself in the tube, looking up the sky, and it just literally happened where I'm like, "Wow, this is going to be a series." The series just like popped into my head, like more ideas after book one, and I had ideas for book two and book three that are now like completely different than what I was thinking before. But just how like you start something, and then a lot of people say this. A lot of people are like, "Oh, like I don't even know like how to fill 30 or 40 pages or 100 pages. Like how do I fill a whole book and whatnot?" And it's very scary. Like and everyone starts off with like a small idea, and you just gotta start writing or even just the outlining, and you'll watch it expand beyond what you originally imagined. Like my first outline is nothing like the first book or the series now, and I didn't know it was gonna be a series at the time, but it took writing book one to learn and discover that this story is bigger than I had planned. And even I thought it was gonna be a trilogy, and that's what I dealt with like the last year or two, where it was going to be a trilogy, and now book three got so big and large in a good way that now it's going to be, fingers crossed, hopefully only 5 books. But yeah, it went from 30 pages, went from a 3-page outline to 5 books. It's just freaking mind blowing, you know?
Yeah, I love that too because you really never know where it's gonna end, I guess.
You don't,
or
which is
where it's gonna
scary.
end up, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I had that kind of thought, and it comes at different times too. Um, like for me, once I finished book one, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a series. Let me like now figure out the series so that I can go back and edit book one so that it
Yeah.
can be a series, you know?
Yeah.
And then kind of getting an idea of the journey that your character's on and making that part of a larger story rather than just like a one book story. Which, you know, writing one book is an accomplishment and
Yeah.
like is hard in itself, but writing a series is like another kind of like muscle. Because you kind of keep having to, you know, make each book kind of feel distinct, keep it as a continuation of the story overall. Um, and you know, get them to not only finish book two, but also want to read book three.
Yeah. That's hard. Yep.
Yeah.
And they say, from what I've read, I didn't notice at the time, but now like reading more about writing craft and whatnot, they say the series itself is a whole arc. Okay. But each book also is its own arc. So it's wild. So you have different arcs for each story, but all those arcs are one arc for the whole series. So like you have to have that in the back of your mind when you're writing, which is pretty difficult, especially if you have like this book, multiple point of view characters. They all have arcs. They're all in like different stories. So now you have multiple arcs within the book, plus the overall arcs for each of the characters. Gets a little wild. Um, how is it going back and isn't it so cool like going back and rereading your first book after you wrote a second book and seeing I don't know, like seeing or feeling the growth in your character. Like you didn't see it before because there's only one book, you were working on one book. Now you developed it even more. So when you go back and read the first book, you just feel like, wow, like my character's grown, developed. I can feel it because I know where he's going to go and I can see where he's starting now to get there. And you can just, it's like gives you a little goosebumps, you know?
Yeah. It's really cool. Like it's really fun.
Whether it's planned or not planned, it's still like cool. Like some things are not planned. I'm like, oh, thank goodness that lined up because I'd not planned that at all. Like some things, like you'll go back. Like I have this knight in my story who went kind of. So one character in my story goes down like a dark path as the series goes on. It's a huge risk I took, huge risk. But I'm like, this character hit a dead end. He's continuing, what can I do? You know what? I'm going to make him go down the bad end and see where this goes. And that's what I'm dealing with in book three and developing that out. It was a risk. But now I go back in book one where I didn't even know that was ever going to happen. So I go back in book one, I'm like, some things he says and does perfectly lines up and justifies that without even being planned. So like you wonder, like, was it subconsciously in there the entire time? You know, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. And even like, you know, you get to know the character too over the course of writing a couple books. So it kind of makes sense. Like you would still keep them on like a logical track as to who their character is. Even if they get a little like, you know, bump in the road kind of experience.
Go a little
Um,
rogue.
yeah. Yeah. Like the Anakin Skywalker like arc to Darth Vader.
I always try, dude. I go down rabbit holes. I think I did recently about trying to just figure out how do you do that? How does it make sense? Like it does make sense, but also like it doesn't make sense because the movies don't really. It happens so quickly, and it goes from like it's just like 0 to 100 real quick. But apparently, if you read the books, if you watch like the Clone Wars, apparently like it's more spread out and they do a better job of showing that. But it's kind of interesting. Yeah, just like um yeah, it's wild. That's a great example though.
Yeah, and even like, you know, because the reader's kind of invested in this character, so they're always gonna like, even when the character kind of goes down the dark end, like they're gonna be hoping for redemption that'll keep them going too.
That's the
which,
overall
yeah.
goal. Oh yeah.
And it kind of is like the journey of the writer kind of encapsulated too. Like, you know, your characters grow and change, but also you as a writer are growing and
Mm.
changing and living a life too and learning, and reading other things that,
Oh yeah. Yep.
can inspire like your imagination to go down different routes. So it makes a lot of sense. And I would kind of encourage writers to, take that advice too. Like, always don't be afraid to grow and live. Like, we can't spend our
Yeah.
whole lives behind a desk typing away. Um, because, if we're writing for readers, we're writing for the world. Be a part of the world.
Yeah.
And the world readers want to kind of like know you and see you and to grow with you and learn from you as they do with your characters. Um, so with because your journey as a writer is also kind of tied to your journey as a poet. Um, and your story today, doing poetry with Pat and, then setting up the local author event. How does your poetry kind of tie into what you do as a writer? And then also, like, does the poetry kind of help inspire some of your fiction writing as well?
Interesting question. I mean, let's see if I can answer. If I don't, you let me know. I always base it back to the songwriting and so it was always songwriting. Every time I wrote words down on paper, on my phone, it was always an attempt to write a song. And that kind of turned into going through a breakup and not really having an outlet to vent. You can only have so many people to tell it to, a certain amount of times before they're like, I don't want to hear it. So that led to writing in I think my block phones at the time, which led to the Notes app and the smartphones, writing down that. And always had intention to write a song, but then that turned into like just writing whatever came to mind, almost like journaling in a way. And I would always try to rhyme and this and that. So that was like the base of it before I even knew about the publishing and whatnot. So that was definitely my writing form without even thinking. I just did it. So when I learned about the publishing of fantasy and I was publishing my fantasy book, I had all these words written down everywhere. It like papers in my closet, in my drawers, old block phones, my smartphones. I literally had to go to my old phones, block phones, and old smartphones that didn't even work anymore. Like I forgot what I had to do. I had to like do a certain thing because it wouldn't charge anymore. So it had to like be really quick where I had to like charge, get a poem, something like that in one of my phones that was like it took a lot of effort to like revive some of these words, compile all of them. And then I had I think like 400 plus pages of poetry or words written down. So I was like, okay, what can I do with this? I would like to publish this and share my words because I connected with a lot of people who did read a little poems of my words throughout the years, and they said, Patrick, share these words. And that's when I sorted them out into different sections, made the different poetry books. But also during that time, I grew as a writer and more consciously wrote more poems to my like I knew myself a little more. I knew my themes like breakup, love, change were like my three big writing themes. So writing more to that when it came up. So I was publishing these books, but also more poems were coming about, like new poems. So I think in the end, I think I had like poems from like 17 years old to like 33ish all together, and I think I have like 4 or 5 poetry books out now and whatnot. Um, so that being said, to your question, yeah, I mean, it definitely defined me because I have songs in my books. I love putting songs in my books. I have this. It's like I based off of, like Disney Aladdin. So when I write, I have to have a scene where like everyone's breaking off in song and singing at a bar or like a festival and whatnot. So now as the story grows and gets more epic fantasy, a little more darker, there's less room for it. So I'm like, I gotta find a way to fit it in somehow. So my third book, I found a bar scene. We're putting a song on in the background, so it's definitely in there, and definitely relates to my themes that I write in, like breakup, love, change. I mean, I feel like that's every book, whatnot, but you know, the character kind of goes through a similar journey I did when I was lost and confused on the direction I wanted in life. I had this dream, but I was afraid to chase it, like all the what ifs and fears. But I ended up taking it and moved to Spain. Then I moved to Spain and I was writing book two. And I feel like book two was an image of what I was living in Spain. Like, what am I doing? What the heck? Like now I live in this another country. Like another definition of being lost and confused and just trying to deal with the decision I made. And now book three, when I lost the job and the visa in Spain and moved back home, working on book three, I feel like now um, covers this portion of my life of like, all right, I'm older now. I'm looking back. I've changed. I've grown. I've taught. I'm leveling up, and it comes with its own battles and ups and downs, and it's definitely getting reflected in the book, which is pretty cool. Um, but yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the use of like poetry and songs in the
Yeah.
books too, because that's music is a big part of, you know, the human experience and the 21st century human experience, definitely. So to also have that reflected in fiction and fantasy, adds another layer of like having the book feel real to readers and another layer of like way of kind of messaging the overall atmosphere of certain scenes, like maybe that bar scene and other places like where music can kind of fit in, or even in like thoughts and memories of different music that, maybe if it's at a darker time in a character's life, they're thinking of like a song that brings them back to like a lighter time where they were
Yes,
happy.
I have that. Yep, yep,
Yeah. Yeah, because it shows that this character is like has depth, has lived a life,
yep.
has gone through many changes and but is still kind of that core person and like those past people in them are like still there and like can speak out every once in a while.
Oh
So that's
yeah.
amazing.
Do you? I think you might have told me. Do you have songs in your book?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Yep. Yep. I'm right then. Oh, nice. How many? How many? Or when do the songs come about? Is it kind of like what you talked about, like they're thinking back in the past, or there are actual scenes where everyone's breaking out in songs, singing, dancing?
So book one is kind of like the darker of my books. So it definitely there's only a song title that comes in at the end. Book two, it like the pop star is one of the main characters. So um there's a concert in the beginning where they, hear parts of a song. There's the concert at the end where that character actually is singing a new song that he wrote while during the course of book two that we didn't know about. So we kind of get to hear a little bit into like how he was really feeling during the book while he's kind of like uh making everyone else's life a little chaotic. And then yeah, it kind of reflects kind of on the story of the book as a whole, but also on his individual character. So different like ways of using song. And then
Oh yeah,
in the
I've seen
beginning
that
of book
before.
two, you can kind of relate too, because in like the two main characters are having dinner in Malaga City.
Nice.
So
Good times.
they're,
Good times.
yeah, really good times. They're like
Uh,
sitting in the square at a table at a restaurant, like outdoors. Um, and street musicians just flood into the plaza
yeah.
and they're playing their instruments and um it's a little bit embellished, but like people start like dancing with them and like going around the
No,
fountain and stuff.
that would happen. That would happen.
Yeah,
Are they
it does happen.
flamencoing?
Yeah, and like the crowd gets involved and it's like it kind of shows like the soul of the city like being so
Mm.
alive and the main character is like comparing it to the US and like with like how it would never
People like
happen.
turn that off. Like it's too
Yeah,
loud.
like get the police officer, give them a fine.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then um like I like that scene too because it kind of contrasts to how the city is in book three, where like it's kind of take the city's taken over and that soul is like not there anymore. Um,
oh,
and
interesting.
then
Oh, Spain without that soul. Couldn't even imagine.
yeah, well, I mean they've had their it's like kind of like
That's true.
the
Yeah.
the bad characters kind of take it over.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a fascist type style
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
government where they like control the
Going
streets and everything.
going back
Um,
in times.
Yeah, back in times. But it's also like how, the reader can see the comparison between like how it was in the beginning of book two, and then when they go back there in book three, like they themselves can just see the difference. Like the
Oh yeah.
language has changed in the way that the city's described. The song isn't there. It's just the grinding of like gears and like hammers on rivets and stuff.
I don't know why it gives me like Footloose vibes. It's like I just want to dance. Where's the
Yeah.
dancing? The dancing's gone. Gotta follow
Yeah,
the rules now.
exactly.
Is
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
is this going to be a third book and done, or are you going to continue?
It's gonna be seven books. So I
Whew.
kind of have the main characters, you know, arc drawn out, and yeah, some of the things that kind of don't get featured or like focused on in book one and two, or three, or four, or five, become the main focus in like book six and seven.
Got it.
So he'll have like, yeah, he has a arc, he has ups and downs coming. But it's all on the course of like his own philosophy about life changing as he learns, experiences, and then maybe some hopes are let down and he learns from that and he has to kind of put his faith in something else or retreat or, you know, fall in line, right?
Oh man, 7 books though. Yeah, good luck. At least yours are a healthy size, which my next series definitely definitely motivated me to write that size. It looks so nice because this third book has become like 800 pages, and I would never recommend that to anyone. It's just too much.
Yeah, that's a lot to write, but then also like edit.
Oh, that's the hardest part with story's done. Set in stone now. Just need to like go through my comments and no, my chapters are like I always aim for like 10 pages. Now I'm writing like sometimes like 20 to 30 page chapters now, and there's like part one of it, two, three, and I it takes like sometimes 3 hours, like 3 days to go through one chapter, and I'm like, all right, progress, but also like at this rate, realistically, this is gonna one pass takes a few months.
Yeah.
So do the math. Um, it's yeah, it's a lot. And this is after splitting too. So, maybe someone's like, "Oh, why don't you split?" And I'm like, "I already split twice with this book." So yeah, it was going to be the third book. It was getting way too long, and I think I was rushing back for the final battle. So like after book 2, all the characters go in different directions, so it becomes more epic fantasy. And I did all this work to get them to these different directions, and I was trying to rush him back to end the series final battle, and something was just off. It was holding me back from moving forward. Something just prevented me from, yeah, moving forward. And it took realizing, oh no, I think I have to split this book. And let these characters sit in these new directions where they work so hard to get to. So once I did that, it was like the best decision ever. The story started happening, it started growing. So I split it into two, three, and four. So as I was working on book three, it also kept growing. The characters were sitting, story grew in a good way, and I took a step back. I think this was in September of last year, where I'm like, let me calculate how long this is going to be. I did the math. I'm like, this is going to be like 1,000+ pages. So I had to stare myself in the face again. Like, do I have to split this another time? Because it's just way too long. So I read through it and I found a good spot to split it. Because you also, if you ever think about splitting, you want to justify it because you still need to justify the story. It should have a beginning, middle, end, and a fulfilling character arc, satisfying ending. So you don't want to just split just to split because you might piss your readers off. So I had to face this concern, and I found a place to split that was like, okay, the characters are experiencing a character arc, great place to end it and move forward. So I split again in September. So it's books three, four, and five. And after splitting, it felt so great. Could take a breath of fresh air because now I'm like focusing on like a smaller part of the story, but still like 800 pages. And I'm like, this is wild on how much it's grown. And can I split again? No, it's just like I can't. Like it's just there's no good spot to split at this point. So in it to win it right now. We'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck with it, because I
Thank you.
know that can, it's, yeah.
Watch your series turn into 14 books.
No, it can't. Yeah. I'm
Book
like,
book book three becomes 800 pages.
if it turns into 14, that'd be insane. Seven gives me enough to kind of, like,
A
I
lot.
fit everything in it that I kind of want. I mean, at this stage in
Yeah.
my life, right? With what have learned and kind of want to transcribe into the story. Um, but yeah, the character will still be young, so I mean, there's always opportunity. But I would want it to kind of be um a different series. Like I have other books planned
Yeah.
kind of for the Immortal Philosophers. They're just not the Chronicles of Dylan Eaglegod. They might be,
Wow.
you know,
He,
the
he, he
story of Antonio, or
Antonio.
focus
He,
on different immortals
mhm.
who are a
you,
part of the Immortal Philosophers at different, like, in different times in history.
mhm. You could come back. I feel like the classic second half of the series would be you can have him come back as a dad with a son, and years later, and then the son goes through his own drama. I feel like that's the classic. Like, how can I revamp my old series? Oh, let's have time pass, make him a father. Now he has a son, and they got their things to deal with.
Yeah, yeah, or a grandpa. Who knows?
That's not a bad idea. uh,
Yeah, but that's the seven is the most I can like conceive of at this point.
yeah, seven's wild. Brain can't even think about that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the setting changes and all of that. So,
So they're not going to stay in Spain. They're going to go to other places.
two and three are, well, three's in Malaga only, pretty
Mhm.
much. Two's in Malaga and then on the Mediterranean. Four and five are gonna go to Puerto Rico,
Nice.
and then six and seven are gonna. I don't want to spoil too much, but they're gonna go back to the U.S., the mainland U.S., and like,
Ooh, the mainland.
yeah, it's gonna be a different feel, and then, you know, the kind of close of his character arc for
until
his,
grandpa, until grandpa
yeah,
level.
until he rolls in. Um, but yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited.
Good, good.
Yeah.
What? It's going to be an awful question because I would hate to ask this, but what do you think the timeline is going to be for your 7 books with getting them out? Do you have that in mind, or are you just going with the flow?
Oh, like how many years it's gonna take to
Oh yeah,
write them
oh
all?
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, book two was a year and a half. Um, book three, I'm kind of like halfway through. It's been like, well, I guess I put book two out in the spring, so
So that's, yeah,
like
recent.
March or
Yeah.
April maybe.
Hmm.
So I only started writing book three a few months ago. I'm, you know, maybe a third through. Um, so maybe by next spring I'll have that one. Maybe like one a
Good.
year
Good. Yeah. That's a good
after
goal.
that.
Don't make it five like me. 5 years between two and three.
Yeah,
But
I mean it could, who knows? It could easily be like, I don't know.
every book is its own monster. I'm sure you're learning that. You know, you think it does get easier. You learn your routine. You learn how you work. You know story more. You're better at writing. But as you level up, it's kind of like learning a language. You always think you're bad because when you level up, you hit new problems. You level up, you hit new problems like that level problems. Same thing with learning Spanish. When I went to Spain, you always think you're just not improving because you always encounter problems. Same thing with writing new books. You just encounter new things that you didn't really deal with before, and it's the new beast to tackle.
Yeah. And some might require more research or you
Very,
might
yeah,
think they require
yeah.
a lot more research, but then you like start writing and you're like,
Didn't need
oh,
any of
no,
that.
it's just flowing. Like, yay.
Exactly. Um, yeah, well, I'll cross my fingers for you that it does not turn into an 800-page book. 5 year project.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. I think I'm like, once it's kind of hitting like close to 300 pages, I'm like, we're wrapping it up. We're
Yeah,
wrapping.
that's a
I can
perfect
only
amount.
like see like 14-ish chapters. I can only plan like 14-ish chapters for a book. So
Isn't it
anything
kind of
beyond that, like, it's just like,
next book, the next one?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, isn't it kind of cool, like my math brain, where when I try to help writers, I give them like a template. I'm like, hey, look, like I'm gonna butcher the math right now because it's not in front of me, but hey, look, like if you have 30 chapters, 10 chapters for part one, part two, part three, each one is like 10 pages. That's a 300-page book. I think my math is right. So yeah, if you do the math like that and you can see it like that, oh, I just have to fill 30 chapters, 10 pages each, 300 pages. Oh, it makes it a little less scary of how am I going to fill this all up? I'm like, oh, just focus on 10 pages for this chapter, 10 pages for this, and only this chunk part one is only 10 chapters. So like painting a little picture and whatnot makes it less scary. Like you said, 14 chapters. It's not very scary, you know. Oh, just got to fill 14 chapters of things that are happening, you know.
yeah. And like more chapters, like I title my chapters too. So
Nice.
to come up with like 30 different chapter titles
That'd be
would be
awful.
intimidating. But 14, you can kind of like set like a trajectory and like a cadence for kind of how, you might have like one or two really like high action, high stakes chapters, and then they'll need like a slower chapter to kind of
Yeah.
like recuperate or kind of get
Yep.
to the next part of the book. So yeah, kind of like seeing it like that as like, oh, this is my opportunity to maybe like step back into their head and their life and their past. What are they going to learn? What do they need to learn to get what do they need to learn before the next kind of like actiony scene? Um, and kind of like keeping that development of the character in mind. Like my character is learning magic and stuff like that. So it's like he needs time to like meditate and like increase his aura power and
Yeah.
like rejuvenate and like
Yeah.
eat something. Um,
Yep.
plus,
Everyone needs to
you know,
eat.
get back to the drama of the social group that's around him. Because that has its own tension too. So
No, for sure. Especially with fan, like you need these scenes. Like sometimes you can't skip over them. You gotta, and like you can do like show him training, slow it down, show the training. But once you show it once, you can kind of like just say, oh, he's training, he's training, he's training. You already kind of like showed it and slowed down. Same thing with like kind of friends, like show, I have like a training. He's in a school right now. He's a teacher teaching at a school in book three. Kind of goes back to my own teaching experience in Spain. I just poured it all in there. But I had to show like teaching scenes. So he's interacting with the students and giving them all little personalities and whatnot and developing that. And I also realized like it's an 800-page book. I don't have room to add more school scenes. I just don't. So do it once, develop it really well. Him interacting with all the characters, give them their personalities, sharp and quick. And then as the story goes on, he's still training, but I can't really, waste more space to make this book even longer. So I hint at it, like, oh yeah, he's in school, and like little lines, like, oh, this character is helping this character, like their little personalities, like quick, like little paragraphs instead of like full out scenes with it. So I found that kind of an interesting thing. And I realized like reading more books too, like, oh yeah, they do like do a good scene of it and then okay, close it. Now they hint back at it and continue the story forward. Unless it's like necessary for the story, where like, okay, something happens back at like let's say the training scene that is important for the story. Maybe some crazy thing happens that moves the plots forward. I don't know. But they're just like constantly training, training, still training. You kind of just like plop it in,
And then
hopefully that.
like you focus on the scenes that like he's using maybe what he learned instead of like, keeping the reader
Mm-hmm.
in the dark about it.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
those are impactful.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like really hated about like the Harry Potter series was like the how in book five like he's trying to get Dumbledore to teach him or like have a
That's
conversation with Dumbledore and Dumbledore's just like ignoring him the
like,
whole time. And it's
can't look at you.
like okay, I don't want my character to feel or readers to feel like my character is getting stunted by not kind of like progressing and learning with the master.
Yeah.
Um, so I always like dip in and like maybe like change who he's learning from too.
Mm.
Um, because yeah, like I don't know, like I don't
Oh
want
yeah, yeah,
him to feel stunted or like for the reader not to see like oh that he can handle this next battle or like while he's in the battle they're like he's like coming out with all this new stuff that like they don't know about. Um, but yeah, to like focus on the tension and the suspense rather than like the surprise too, in a way, you know?
oh yeah, yep.
Um, yeah, but it's fun. It's so
It's
much
fun.
fun.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
laughing at that Dumbledore scene because I went down a rabbit hole being like, why is he ignoring him so much? And like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
I get it, but it's pretty weird.
yeah, it's like, did you not just want to write like scenes like this? Like, come on.
I know, I know. Um,
And then make the whole book about like that. Like the whole movie was like him trying to Dumbledore, Dumbledore.
yeah, it's like some weird obsession. Like, move on. The guy wants nothing to do with you. Move on, Harry.
Well, yeah, I know. But at the same time, like he's like, I'm about to die, like if I don't talk to this man.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But yeah, it's all fun. It's all fun.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be nice to have many more of these conversations on
Yeah.
Friday and
Yes.
get a lot of other writer perspectives. I know there's a lot of writers writing in different genres, even like children's books. So,
And we got children's books, thrillers, self-help, contemporary romance, fantasy. Um, I'm gonna stop there. I'm sure there's more, but yeah, it's a good variety, which is nice. And yeah, like we're talking about our fantasy books, but like hearing their perspectives on how they write scenes and whatnot, and their struggles at writers might be different from ours, or might be exactly the same. Like who knows? So it's kind of yeah. I love learning about people's writing journeys. Like I don't really care about what's your book about. Like I want to know about you and your writing journey, kind of like what you said, because that kind of reflects what your book is mainly about because you know? Like it or not, I do feel like writers do pour their inner selves in what they're writing, even if the genre is a little wild and crazy. Part of them gets put into there some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And also, the one thing I wanted to say, like, I like when you read back your books, they're kind of like journals. I don't know if you ever read book one and be like, wow, like I know where I was during that time. Like, oh, I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean. That's why I put that line in there. I was watching this movie at that time. Or so it's kind of like a time capsule to go back and see part of yourself in book one. It's like a journal in a way, which is kind of crazy. And it's a fantasy book. It doesn't exist, but it kind of does.
Yeah, I like that. It goes back to like the idea that, we write the books we wanted to read, like, or that we
Mm-hmm.
needed at the time. Um,
Exactly. I
I
need
know like when I
Aladdin.
was writing my first one, like I read a lot of books that, informed me and that spoke to me a lot, but only I could write the book I needed at the time, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like a timestamp of like my life up until then. And
Oh yeah.
then, book two kind of takes a different journey, um, which, is informed by different experiences. And then book three with the fascist takeover, definitely like
Experience.
inspired by like real events, and different histories and not so histories. Um, and then the struggles that like the characters have to deal with and the things that they have to do in order to fight for a better day. And like that's kind of the theme of that book at this point. Like for all those like fighting in the dark, like be the
Mm,
light.
mm, like that.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. But yeah, it's exciting. And I can't
It
wait to
is.
meet other writers, and meet readers too. Monday was great. We were both at the coffee shop, selling books, connecting with writers for all who haven't seen the posts. Um, so more of that to come.
Oh yeah.
Um, do you have any last, maybe like hopeful words for writers out there or
Oof.
someone who might be hesitant to publish or like not sure
Oh
if
yeah.
publishing's the right journey for them?
Yeah. Honestly, but the Nike saying just do it. Seriously, I think the best advice I got was oh, I haven't used this in a while, but you can always go back and edit what you've written, but you can't go back and edit blank pages. And one friend I had, we were writing at the same time. Difference between me and him was I sat down, pumped out the words, and finished the first draft. He couldn't get past the first paragraph. And I would read his words, and they were beautiful, so much better than mine, but he never finished ever. And I did. And I meet so many great writers. They're fantastic, and they just have this block. Oh, it's not good enough. Who am I to write? And I challenge you to like research your favorite authors. You'll learn a lot of them didn't even study writing. A lot of them have something in common where they literally like were in a bad point in life or just inspired and just did it. Literally just did it. Didn't learn it, didn't care, sat down, did it. And you learn as you go. And like you said, it's a muscle to train. And to acknowledge that a first draft is a first draft for a reason. It's going to be awful. J.K. Rowling, I'm pretty sure she wrote 5 drafts of Harry Potter. She had to rewrite the whole thing because I think she spoiled a lot of her entire series in her first book, where she had to kind of spread it out. So write whatever's on your mind down on paper. I think they say write with the door closed in your first draft. So it doesn't matter. You can write crap. You can write things that don't make sense, plop it down, free that space in your brain. Then open the door, read with more of a judgmental brain. And it's going to be hard. You have to read crappy writing because it is going to be that. So, but it's part of the process of now you can sit back and find the story within that first draft and whatnot. So hopefully that, yeah, just sit down, do it. You only need to do like an hour a day, even 30 minutes. A little every day is better than doing like 5 hours once a week or whatnot. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and like honestly, in past experience, the closer you get to the ending, like the faster you start writing too. Like, or not the faster, but the more time you'll find to like just sit down and write because you're gonna want to get it done.
Yeah.
Um, so keep writing towards the end, and you will have it finished in no time because, or in time, it'll take, but you'll you'll kind of see how the journey goes. And you know, like I finished my first draft of my first book, and I was like, okay, I'm ready for someone to help me out with it, an editor, and like help me refine it. Um, I didn't like find that editor that I like could really trust or anything. Like at that time, like no one was accepting submissions and like no one, it was like after COVID, so like everyone was kind of like had a backlog from like things not being published, that were kind of
Yeah.
like still in the queue. So agents weren't accepting, publishers weren't accepting, nobody was accepting anything. So I was like, fine, I want to get it out there. Let me sit down with it and really go through it and like really refine it. It took a year to do that, like to go
Mm-hmm.
through just like a 200 page, 270 page book and get it ready with the context of it being a series. Um, and to really refine my craft. And like even that year was probably the best writing year of my life, even though it was mostly editing while writing book two a little bit, because it forced me to be the editor and like really
Oh
refine my
yeah.
writing to the point where, book two didn't take 5 years to get published and write and publish
Yep.
like book one did. It took a year and a
Yep.
half. And um like that muscle isn't going to be there if you don't really like take the time and learn really
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
like practice and read it and like really understand your style before even getting it to like an editor. Like editors are great. I love helping people edit their books and refine the story for the reader and refine the language and everything like that. But um, I think every writer can also kind of see where it needs work if they're willing to not just feel so attached to maybe what they have written already. Like it's words. They can be organized in hundreds of different ways. Um, but the reader is going to read them the best way in a certain way. So really like be critical about how to get there and you can get there. Um, and then get an editor because
Yeah. Well, like I feel like a lot of writers think, oh, I wrote from start to finish. I'm done. That's it. I'm like, well, has anyone ever read it? Have you read it? Have you edited it? And from what I've learned, you're not really a writer, I feel like. Sure, you got to write it, but I feel like the majority of the time, you're actually an editor. You need to
yeah,
go back and see what you wrote, be critical, like you said, and edit it. And it might take, I think my first book took 15 passes because I had no idea what I was doing at the time. 15 passes. Book two took 5 passes. Book three took longer years, but little less passes than book one because I know what the process, I know what I need to do. But mainly it's like revising, 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 which makes you an editor. Um, but you also do get blind at a certain point. So, like you said, so like, yeah, you need to be an editor, but you also need to let other people read it and edit it and be open to, is it constructional? not really feeling this because I think it could be this and whatnot. Feedback that's going to make your story stronger. That literally is your best friend. And if you can't accept that, it's like it's going to be difficult because um, I don't think any single book has been written by only one person. It's always a team of people working on it. Yes, it's mostly you, but also it's your editor, it's your beta readers, it's whoever else you want to read it and give you some feedback and whatnot. Multiple editors sometimes. So it's not a one person show, it's a team effort. And you got to, obviously you make the final decision in the end. Um, but you need to learn, like, hey, is this feedback helpful? Is it not? Is it harmful? Is it not? Am I being blind and blocked from accepting this feedback that could actually be better? Am I the problem? Am I not? You got to kind of like learn that about yourself. And sure, I still do it. I get feedback and I'm like, oh, what the heck? And then I take a day, I go back and look at the feedback and I'm like, you know what? They have a really good point. So you got to learn to accept that.
Yeah. And even like throughout the process of working with an editor, like getting a third party to kind of like read it, who you might know, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but then, they'll probably say like, oh, like, yeah, go with this, go with this version, because, there's just a way for readers to receive information. Like that's really
Mhm.
what it is. Um, in telling a story.
Oh yeah. Yep.
To get attached to every like word or paragraph, like unless you can explain like detailed reasons why, but even still at that point, like if there's some confusion on the reader end, like there's gonna have to be some changes, like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
um just objectively, nothing
Yeah.
to be subjective about, like just do it for the reader because they're the ones who you're writing for.
It always comes down to what I've heard, like, do you want to sell books or do you not? Do you want readers to read your book or do you not? If you don't, then that's fine. You can do whatever the heck you want, and that's totally acceptable and fine. But if you do want people to read, if you do want to sell some books, there's some expectations to be met. And that comes with like reading books in your genre, knowing what your readers like and don't like, and why they like the things they do and don't like the things they don't. Um, and learn from that and adapt that to your own book. And sure, it's still going to be the book of your dreams, but you also have to adapt it to pleasing the people who are actually going to be the ones supporting you and reading your work.
And like also like write it and edit it like you want them to finish it, you
Mm,
know?
yeah.
Um, one author that I spoke with recently had like a multi-point of view book, um, and throughout the editing process, like had to take out two perspectives.
Mm,
So like that was like chapters and chapters that were removed, but loves the way that it is kind of that it reads now, and like was able to any information that might have been in those passages, like he was able to get into other places.
exactly. Yep.
Um, and like, I mean, there are there's different ways of going about things, but like, you never know what you can accomplish unless you challenge yourself to
Exactly. Yep.
to do something that you might not know, but it's like for the reader. So, that's like part of the craft of being a writer.
And part of the fun, like you said perfectly,
Yeah.
like, okay, this information possibly needs to be in the story, not in the way I thought, like you said, point of view character. You got rid of them. Okay, well, there's still story that needs to be told, just not in this way, because there's a reason. From what I've learned, like multiple point of view characters, if you're adding a point of view character, more or less, you need a really good reason for them to be a point of view character. Like they need their own arc because they're technically almost the main character at that point when you're doing that. So they need their own arc and journey and need to have their own fulfillment with story. Um, so if you are that needs to be the reason. And if that's not the reason, then okay, you can probably take this character out, but then you have all this information. Okay, how do I tell the story now? And that's kind of like the challenge, honestly. Like I write very in the character's head, so you're experiencing the character through their head. Okay, well they need to perceive some certain story events, but if you're only in their head, that kind of blocks you, or um, you know, prevents you from, you got to figure out a way to tell the story you want to tell when your narrative comes down to narrative voice. When your narrative voice is this, being consistent with it. Okay, I can't really go out of its head because that's not my narrative voice, but I need to tell that story. So how can I figure it out through my narrative voice that I have chosen? And that's one thing I noticed with a lot of writers. They don't stay consistent with their narrative voice. And maybe that's why you suggested the take out the perspective, because like, this is your narrative voice. Like you chose this, and you gotta stay consistent and not jumble around. And I know you why you did that, because you need to tell that part of the story. We need to tell it, but you need to do it here in the voice that you chose. And that's
Yeah.
always a wild experience. And a lot of readers, I didn't know about this when I first started about narrative voice. I Once I started writing, I learned like, ooh, there's some barriers now. I need to tell this part of the story, but I have to do it through here. And it was a challenge, but it's fun, you know? If there's when there's a will, there's a way. There's a way to do it somehow, but you got to figure it out.
Yeah. I didn't suggest it though. They are working with a different editor on that.
Oh, got it, got it, got
It's
it.
it's true fantasy is just a little bit outside my expertise too. So
Oh,
knowing your
yeah.
expertise and knowing your genre is
Yeah.
really important. As you said too, like yeah, read in what you want to write and that'll help you like meet reader expectation, definitely. But I think we'll draw it to a close there because
We can go
yeah,
on and on.
yeah, we could literally talk forever. Um, but everyone check out Patrick's work because yeah, he's awesome. His poetry is great, his prose are great, and if you love fantasy, the Junkland series is really interesting concept and yeah, the characters sound awesome too. And yeah, we'll have you back on the channel at some point.
I'd love to come
And
back.
yeah,
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for everyone for listening. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the support. You can find me at patrickjohnswrites.com. All my info's there. Music, you can go listen to my tunes, my fantasy books, my poetry books, my dad's little fish book that's really good. Book coaching services, my travel journeys are up there on my blog. But yeah, yeah, and I'd love to hear from you too. And we'll be seeing you, Alex, on Friday for the book festival. Get pumped.
yeah, can't wait. And we'll have all your links in the description too for the video on YouTube. And everyone like and subscribe to the channel for more. Especially, you know, we love the New Jersey local
Oh yeah.
authors and reporting that we do here. So don't miss out, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.